Welcome to 2 Minutes of Advice. Today we're going to talk about a brand that everybody's talking about, and that is Peloton. But first, it reminds me of the story that I remember hearing at the beginning of my PR career, and that is of the former journalist, a former TV broadcast reporter who went into PR, hired by a big PR firm, gets his first client, they're in crisis, and his suggestion out of the bat, let's hold a news conference and tell everybody about your crisis. He didn't last in PR very long. Juxtapose that with what we all presumably were told by our parents growing up, and that is, if you did something wrong, you better tell me first before I hear it from your principal, your teacher, or your friend's mom. So how does that relate to Peloton? Well, let's recap what they've been through. In May, they announced a voluntary recall. At the end of 21, their brand was associated with an actor in the Sex and the City reboot who was accused of sexual misconduct. Just about a month ago, maybe even a little bit less, they announced they were stopping production amid studies that their price point was too high. And then they've just had a turnover at the top, layoffs, as well as a new CEO. So what do they do to regain control of the narrative and rebuild their reputation? Well, this is a situation where, because there is critical mass, everyone knows about Peloton and their troubles, even if they don't know the details. That Peloton must, the next time they've got something bad that's going to happen, instead of being on the defense and reacting to it, they have to go on offense. They have to be the ones to come out and say, this is what happened, this is why it happened, this is what we're doing to fix it, and if need be, apologize. The only way they can regain control of the narrative and their reputation now is if they're the ones to tell the bad news going forward. That's a difficult thing to do if you're a brand and all the PR people are telling you don't answer a question you haven't been asked. So what should the rest of us do when we aren't facing an impending crisis? Well, it's this: build up goodwill in the bank of public trust. Build up that benefit of the doubt so that when something bad happens, not if, people will think well of you, your employees, your consumers, your stakeholders, stockholders, your friends and fans. And if you've built up that goodwill in the bank of the public trust, hopefully you won't have to go on offense, answer a question you haven't heard before. And I gotta tell you, Peloton had a great reputation, a lot of friends, a lot of followers. So maybe they'll survive, but the lesson for all of us is to make those friends now when times are good. And that's 2 minutes of advice from Sunwest.